to Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane, starring Ryan Rash.
No amount of makeup can mask an ugly heart.
And Dale Hummel.
Practical knowledge is a result of the honest reflection upon your past decisions, learning from both success and mistakes.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
Good early morning.
It's very early.
Like Baltimore times 7, Illinois times 6, Clifton time.
Pittsburgh.
We don't even Pittsburgh. We don't even know where Clifton is, do we?
No.
Very early. A lot of news. I just turned on
There
Fox.
is no news.
Oh gosh, they were interviewing Vance's wife. You said that was not allowed.
No, I said she's never done in an interview before the Republican National Convention. That is what I said. That is the truth.
I caught like 60 seconds of it, and she seems very well spoken.
She should be.
You do not approve of her?
I don't approve of either of them.
I am still, I don't have enough information on them to form judgment, but
I do.
I'm very good so far. I'm fine. It's just fine.
You keep telling yourself that.
Oh, I have other things that concern me far more than those two. Far, far more. Way more. The only thing that concerns me about those two is I do not believe they helped Trump at the top of the ticket to get into the White House as much as maybe somebody else would have. That is my only concern.
You better be concerned.
I'm fed up with those in charge of our country that continue to be complacent and allow our adversaries to basically invade, declare war, whatever you want to talk about on us, and we do nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's what bothers me. Every day. That's what I think about when I wake up.
Mm-hmm.
You have any other current news?
Your best friend, Robert Kennedy Jr., killed a bear cub and left it in New York.
You sent me
Central
that.
Park.
You sent me that link, and I pushed on it, and it went to something totally different about him apologizing to his babysitter. I couldn't find the bear cub thing.
It was there. It was on Fox News.
Why would he have a bear cub?
I don't know. I didn't. And you know, when he first announced his run, and I listened to his policies, despite, the voice, I was like, here is an attractive, well-connected, political dynasty person with more money than God, and 90% of what he says makes very good sense as far as policy. Now, will he, implement that if he's like, why has he not run before? And then now just more and more and more. Now I know.
I would agree with that. You're dead on there. The 90% sounds really good. It's that 10% that's detached.
No, it's not the 10%. It's the man is crazy.
No.
He has done stupid, crazy shit. He killed a bear cub and ditched it in Central Park. He thinks there was a worm
I cannot
inside
confirm.
his head that ate his brain.
Cannot confirm either one of those.
He is nuts.
If he'd stop at the 90%, we wouldn't know the other. He'd be fine.
But this is why he has never run before.
Maybe he's just honest where the others never show you that 10%.
Oh, I think Trump's way too honest, and you don't like him for it either. So there you go.
I was disappointed. I believe it was a rally in Pennsylvania. He went back to attacking personal character, whether you have children or not, things that are absolutely irrelevant to the race rather than the issues. And he just steered right off course. Why does he have to do that? Why? It doesn't work.
Don't know what you're talking about.
It's him not, in my opinion, focusing on the issues that will get him votes and keep independents rather than push them away. I would just wish he would not do that. It would make his life so much easier getting into the White House. Speaking, I'm going to go back to your little boyfriend, Kennedy. Do you believe, I don't remember the polling, post Biden out, camel toe in, do you know what percentage of the vote he's going to get?
Less, because I do think there was some Democrats that were going to vote for him because they wouldn't vote for Biden, and I don't know, maybe more. Who knows?
I would predict less, like you're saying, that some just weren't going to vote, that they may go out and vote for him. Maybe now it's. I thought I saw a poll that he was as high as 8 or 10%, and that's.
There's been polls where he's been up to 11. I mean, but
that's a significant amount.
Yes, it is.
And he has I've watched no interviews or anything with him. He has no intentions of pushing one way or the other. He is in it to win it.
I assume.
If he were to push his support one way or the other, it may be enough to help that other candidate.
If they would listen, but I don't think that's. I think see, everybody says that, that whatever, but people that are going to vote for a third party candidate, they're not going to listen. I mean, because they know that their vote really isn't going to count. There's no way in hell this man's going to win. So even Joe, because he says go vote for Camel Toe or go vote for Trump, I don't think those people listen. If you're that dug in that you're not going to vote for either one of those, and you're really willing to wait in line and go out there and do your sacred duty as an American citizen to throw away your vote on a third party candidate, you're not going to listen to that person.
No, I agree that's out of principle. That's not.
Yeah. So
that's not going to change. You're correct.
Yeah. I don't believe that.
And if he just pulled out of the race, I would say a lot of those probably wouldn't vote. I'm sure some would, but a lot just wouldn't.
But
that's interesting. I wonder if, and I'm sure it's all the above, if some of those that are voting for Kennedy, I'm going to assume most of them probably, if he wasn't in the race, probably wouldn't vote. But curious if, and I won't see this, that if he was out of the race, how many of them would bounce. I'm sure a few would bounce, but probably not many. So with that said, you're right. He's probably not going to impact it in that manner.
I can't believe you're not talking about Biden and his Supreme Court.
I don't have enough information on it, to be honest with you. I have not watched anything about it. So I'm aware that he has gone off the deep end, but I have no details. So I would be happy to listen to you.
No, I don't have any details either. I thought you were the one that listened to it. You told me that was impossible.
It is constitutionally impossible, but that doesn't mean he's not going to throw it out there. Yeah, every legal scholar says this they can never get it through the House and the Senate at whatever 3/4 and then half. It's a very difficult process. You would have to have, if it was politically motivated, you'd have to have the supermajority in both, or at least in the Senate, I believe, to accomplish such. So I just, right now, with it is tight between Democrats and Republicans in the House and the Senate, it can't happen. So, and if it was ever that far one way, I don't think it would matter. Everything would be going a very bad direction. Very bad.
So what you did is you lied to me. You told me that you were watching this on TV and that this was not a problem, and you lied to me.
Forever ago, and I think
you lied to me. That's what you did. You lied to me.
I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. Will it be a big deal and get some headlines? Yes, it will not happen. That's all I got out of it, and I'm not a constitutional expert. I'm simply listening to a couple of the panel people that were on there that appeared to understand what they were talking about. So I'm going strictly off what they're telling me, and they say it is impossible. Impossible. I'm a little more concerned that at any moment, as we're recording, Iran could fully launch an attack on Israel or vice versa. I'm extremely concerned that our administration is basically trying to restrict and inhibit Israel from defending, protecting themselves while appeasing Iran, maybe is the best way to put it. Do you know what we've done recently to slow their nuclear arms program, Ryan?
Nothing.
Yeah, we've allowed them to ship, I think, 200 million barrels of oil a day to China. I could be off on my numbers, but a significant amount that, guess where all that money goes? It either goes to their nuclear program or to fund terrorists around the world.
Well, I don't think that's doing anything to prevent it, like you said. Again, you're lying. Why do you lie to people, sir? It's very.
What do you mean we've done something to prevent it? We haven't done anything to prevent it.
That's what I said. I said nothing, and you told me that you just said no.
I'm saying
all this oil
in a sarcastic manner. We are allowing them to do these things, which
it
makes no sense.
Well.
I apologize. It's really kind of eating at me again. You know how China eats at me a little bit. Every one of our adversaries has taken advantage of the Biden administration. Everything they do, there are no repercussions. So what do? More. Why on earth? And this isn't just this administration. I can go back through Trump, through Bush, through a bunch of them. In my recent memory, we have done minimal. Outside of Trump, he did some, but you can't do everything in a very short period. They continue to push. They continue to purchase agricultural ground. They continue to put themselves in a position that they can take us out as the economic leader on this planet. And we continue to allow it to happen. So why the politicians are this complacent, or they're getting a personal kickback or benefit, or they're just that ignorant, I don't know. But if you can't just step back, look at the big picture, and look at how our adversaries are taking advantage of us, and we're doing absolutely nothing about it, to the point we're in a position that if anything escalated, we're in trouble. It's a mess. And I can assure you, all of you out there, and I've heard very few in the agriculture community that are actually considering voting for camel toe, you better just take a deep breath and think about where we're at and look at a little bigger picture, because I promise you, as crazy, extreme as she is, if they would happen to hold the Senate or the House or both, which I hope to God that never happens, it would be a mess. It'll be a mess irregardless with her in the White House.
I do not understand how anybody with a functioning brain, and I'm just being real honest, and if this offends you listeners, good, get offended. How could anybody with a functioning brain that was not a way out there, I mean, because I get when you're like Dale and you're so far on one side, or you're a liberal and so far on the other side that you don't think rationally. But if you are a rational thinking, non-leftist, rightist person with a functional brain and can listen to more than 5 clips of her speaking about any variety of topic you want, and you still consider voting for her, you've got to be there's something wrong with you.
Say it.
There's something wrong with you.
There's
something wrong with you.
There is no functional person that has any level of logic, common sense, awareness, let's use that term, that could listen to any of her clips or do any research that could possibly vote for her. You just closed your entire world up, never heard her speak, and just listened to the media, maybe, but you have to be over the top ignorant to simply do that. I am very, very concerned with the intelligence level or the morality, obviously, of those in charge of our country, and not just strictly on the Democrat side. There's issues on both sides, and the sheer lack thereof intelligence of the population. That may offend people. That's okay.
If she should be twice as easy to defeat than Joe, even with Joe's cognitive decline and all of his terrible policies, she should be twice as easy to defeat. For everything that Joe does, he was in politics for 50 years. I think he did some good at some time. He had a reputation.
I don't think it was good. He had some logic at one time, but it wasn't going the right direction.
But
he was cognitive. I will go with that.
She's a first-time senator, a California DA. She's nuts.
Yeah, she is nuts.
Oh, I just don't even understand. And I'm not concerned about the polls right now. I'm not even going to be concerned about the polls till after they get through their convention and anoint her. And then when everything levels back off, about 2 weeks after her convention, that's when I will focus in and worry. I think it's very funny that you see as little polling data right now as you've ever seen. Like normally there's a new poll that comes out every couple of days or something. Right now, after Trump's assassination, his great convention, her taking
Trump, there was an attempted assassination on Trump.
Oh God. Okay.
Have you heard anything about it on the news lately?
Yes,
I've heard very little.
Oh God.
It's almost like the news cycle, it's already past it. Where I thought when you and I discussed it, this is huge, which obviously it is. But because we're in such a quick turnover news cycle, I think if you ask, obviously everybody's aware of it, but it's not on their front page at this point.
Well, no, I mean, but it was a little bit ago.
Yep, agreed. And you hear about it because of the investigations, and they're asking, should there be people fired over this, Ryan?
Well, the person that ultimately was in charge has resigned already, so I don't think.
Far more. What do you know the name of the person that was in charge at that location that day?
No, I do not.
How is that possible?
Don't ask me. No.
Obviously, the press knows it. For whatever reason, they can't release it or won't. They must not be allowed to release it. How is that person still have a job? I would go beyond firing them, and we'll just leave it at that. Okay. Amazing. Back to your girlfriend, Camel Toe, real quick. She hasn't, to my knowledge, and I'm going off of what I heard on the news, done a press conference / interview.
She became, yes.
She gets up there in stump speech, if you want to call it that, off the teleprompter. And I'm not saying she hasn't taken a question, but I don't know that I've seen it. And
she has not had a press conference since she became the Democratic nominee.
So obviously her controllers are aware she's crazy. She's loony. We don't want this to happen, period. Hide her like we hide Joe. It's the same plan at this point. Put her out there, let her laugh, let her have some energy, let her be on her honeymoon.
No, they don't let her laugh anymore.
Oh, they did shut that. And she's holding to it pretty well.
Anymore.
It's less than it was.
They don't let her laugh anymore.
That is great. Just great. Well, how do you think Putin and Xi and Little Rocket Man and Iran, how do you think that group is going to respect Camel Toe?
Oh, not a lot.
No, they think this is another 4 years that we do whatever we want if she's in office. And they will. I can assure you they will. With that said, I am concerned that when we allow China, and not that Russia won't do it, and those are the two main players probably in it, maybe even Iran, they're going to do everything they can, whether it's TikTok, whether it's financial influence, whatever they can to put who in the office.
Oh, I think every world leader that is out to get us wants her in.
Yeah. And I believe it's because we've allowed it, they have some influence. And when the race is this close, that concerns me.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I'm sure you're.
Why can't that average person out there understand these people are our adversaries, and they would prefer to have this person as president and take the other side of that coin? Why can't they just do that and be done?
Well, I'm sure there are several that will, Dale.
No, I don't believe so. I do not hear anything about it. Nothing. Zero. Absolutely nothing. We're probably getting a little bit long, aren't we?
Yes, I think so.
Let's go to BTR JLA news.
Okay. Well, let's see here. I don't remember what I did last week. I'm getting very good.
I think you were sheep.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. But
it wasn't goats, if that matters.
No, why? Because you think I'm a racist?
No, I just remember. I don't remember it being goats, so that would be a safe place to land.
Oh, I getcha. I think I was on cattle, but we'll go with goats. So since you want a goat one, we can give you a goat one. Top 10 senior goat: Travis Arney, Indiana; Cameron Shelton, California. Third is Jacob Mickish of Oregon. Fourth is Hannah Jones of Mississippi. Fifth is Colby Wilson of Delaware. Sixth is Jesslyn Muggerly. Sorry, Jesslyn of Oregon. Next is Caden Healy Mitchell of Colorado, followed by Kyle Larson of Ohio, Kylie Gorka of Indiana and Natalie Shull of Iowa.
Excellent. Congratulations. I have a couple favorites in that group, but we're not going to point those out.
Oh, okay. Let's not.
Excellent. Do you have anybody that would like to sponsor?
No, I don't have anybody that wants to sponsor.
I will talk about my weekend at the Indiana State Fair. And once again, from 3 different barns, people wanting to talk about ShowFresh H2O. I'm always happy to talk about hydration. I'll talk about it day, night, anytime you'd like. This is a single lowest cost, largest return product on the market. Thank you, ShowFresh H2O, for not only serving our stock show industry, but also for the support of this podcast. ShowFresh H2O can be purchased at your show supply trailers and at swampfox.com. Thank you for your support. This title can be taken a lot of different ways, but Ryan will explain it. I think it's interesting. I hope that I can share as much insight as I should, the before and after.
I think that I don't understand how
before what, after what.
Well, I mean, just depends on what anything. But before you, I think that there's a need and a topic area here, which Dale, I've run this by Dale several times, and he's never really liked it, and so why he likes it now, I don't know. But
I like the title better.
There you go. Anyway, about what needs to happen before you start showing and what happens after, because those are, I think, now more than ever in this extremely competitive situation that we're in, and it gets more competitive every single year. It's no longer one of those things, well, we'll just wait till our kid is show age and, start. I think that you can do things to benefit yourself and your program and your exhibitor before they start showing. And then there is a big need for the topic on what happens after. And Dale doesn't believe it, but there is a big need on the after part, because I get those questions asked to me almost daily. Dale evidently doesn't.
I get questions, and I appreciate this part of it. I get questions on a regular basis that we have 3 children. Our oldest one will be 4-H age next year. What should I be doing now? So there are some thinking about it, and it just is what it is. As competitive as it is, and if you're in a competitive family, I think those people are thinking about how do we prepare? What can we do before our first year, before we're 4-H eligible? So I do think that's happening. The after part, I don't know. Maybe because my kids are still showing, maybe because I'm helping other families quite a bit currently and have been for a long time. I haven't got to that cycle yet.
I'm talking about everybody. You don't get anybody asking you, okay, I'm aging out this year. How do I stay involved? Or what do I do now? I get those questions all the time.
I may get them once in a while, but not that much.
That's because nobody likes you.
You're much more approachable.
Right. Okay. So,
and I think, I watch what people do, and I think it's a great thing. And a lot of them obviously are going into volunteer positions, whether it's with the 4-H club or volunteering at a show or putting on a show or helping that family. Where I see the most of it, and I can go back just a little bit. I don't necessarily, they're not asking me, hey, what should I do? But I'm observing some of those really good competitive families, whether it be the showman, the parents, some family member in there. There's usually the transition that I see, and they're not asking me, hey, what should I do? But I witness they're usually involved maybe with another family before they age out. And for sure, once they've aged out, it seems like they're still involved. I still see them at that Texas Major, that stock show, and they're working with a neighbor, another local person that they just enjoy helping. That obviously for whatever reason that family's impressed them, and they want to continue to pass on their knowledge. So I see a lot of that. I don't get them asking me, should I do it?
That's because nobody likes you. But anyway,
agreed.
Okay, so what are your thoughts? Since you're getting off topic, what are your thoughts? Is if you could start all over again, and you had one that was approaching show age, what would you do for the before? Let's start there. How about be logical?
That's hard for me. I can go back to when I did that with our children. I think the most difficult one for me is determining, rather than dictating what that child's going to show, which may be the best path because of your past experience and things like that, but rather what they may be interested in. And I don't know that a child at that age, or very few of them, truly know what they're going to want to be showing 5 years from now. Fortunately, it seems like GOAT is for a young child is very popular, and that brings a lot of buyers and new people into the GOAT arena, which is great. And I don't know what the best one is. I know we've talked about before that, well, maybe we don't want a real small child on cattle. I'm not saying that it can't be done. I see some phenomenal, very young showmen out there in the ring on cattle that do a great job. Is there a little bit of a safety issue there? If something were to spook them or something goes wrong, sure. It can happen. I'm not saying it's going to, and maybe no more than somebody that's older showing, but that general one, I see some people maybe avoid that, and they think they're going to mature into that later, which they might. My thoughts are whichever species we start our children on, they're going to make some choices, and it seems like as a parent, if you push one thing, the children may look another direction. So it's hard for me, but I back to a more direct answer. I think you have, if you want to be competitive, and be careful, it's not reliving the parents' lost show career, your lost show career, whoever, trader, broker, whatever it may be. But we have to reel back and realize, yes, it's competitive. And for these kids to stay interested, success is usually a very, very good motivator. But we have to remember, instead of jumping in as a parent because these kids are young and just starting, we have to allow them to partake, actually do some of those daily chores, do things that maybe sometimes say, well, we'll just do it for them because it's quicker, it's easier, it's more efficient. And I can remember when my oldest two were younger, I would jump in and do things, not because they couldn't, but because of a time issue and trying to get other things done. And we need to be at somewhere later today, so let's just get through everything. And it was easier and faster for us to, as parents, to help. So I don't know, going back to it, anything you can do, whether it's watching, whether it's hooking up a family, it depends completely on your experience level in the show ring with a given species. I suggest stay with the species you're the most familiar with. I suggest, if you're not familiar with the species, if there's somebody around willing to help you, that's a logical direction to go. I guess my point here is, I don't know that the child is capable of making a decision and know for sure what they want to show until they're into it for a few years and knowing. So I'm going to go back to, we're almost deciding for the child, but the opposite later, we have to let them follow their passion.
I should have done this topic by myself. You're terrible at this topic.
Please, I told you, I don't know what I have to contribute to this one. I told you that in the beginning. I can give you some really insight.
So I have a completely different opinion than Dale. Thank God. So don't listen to him. I think there are lots of things that you can do when your child is getting to be close to show age that will help, and not only that kid, but also you. And the first thing is, I think that you should go to a lot of shows and submerge them in that culture, in that environment, and get them excited. And that's not if. And that's only if you don't. There are some people that do not want to participate in shows before their kid is officially show age. And that's the group that I'm talking to right now. And I don't quite understand that, when there are lots of opportunities that you can start them out earlier. I mean, maybe you can't show at your county fair, but you can show at jackpot shows or series shows and all this other stuff. Of course, I would do that. But if you're going to, be a stickler on it, that you don't want to spend the time or the money or the effort until you can actually go somewhere and show for real, take them to shows, surround them with that, environment, that experience. I know people that their kid is fixing to be able to show at a junior national, in a year or 2 years. And they're going on and they're going to buy one now. And so, most people think when you're showing cattle, even though Dale thinks that small children can't handle cattle, which is complete bullshit, but they think, oh, well, we'll get this little calf heifer and that's what they'll show with. I know a lot of people that are thinking the exact opposite. If their first year to show, they're going to have had that heifer for like a year and a half, and she's going to be a bred and be ready to go, because that's going to give that kid that much more time to bond with that heifer and learn how to show it and all these other things. So I think there's a lot you can do. I think that there's also some things in terms of, besides just actually showing in the jackpot shows, if you are concerned on what animal your kid wants to show, maybe you were a cattle person, but maybe you want them to choose. The only way they're going to figure that out is you're going to have to go to your friends. You're going to have to go to these shows. Let them spend time around a goat, a sheep, a hog, a calf, whatever. See what they like the best. Give them those options. And that's the only way that you're going to figure that out. So I think there's lots of different avenues. I strongly promote the idea of starting to show before you can actually go to the county fair or the state fair or major shows, etc., because you need every competitive advantage that you can when you have that short, brief 10 plus year window of the actual competition age. And I swear to you, I used to think that the mini Hereford deal was the biggest bunch of bullshit in the history of the world. And now I have seen a generation of those kids grow up that started in the minis, and they have such an advantage on the kids that did not go down that path. And they're all the same age. And these kids are there are kids that started with minis that are out there beating up on the kids in high school in terms of showmanship. And so that can be achieved in every single species. And I think it's something that you need to seriously consider. And right now we're just talking about kids and parents on what to do before. But I get a lot of questions from a lot of people on and this comes from kids a lot. I'm about to age out, but I want to be a judge. What do I do? Well, the before on that is, don't be like me. I didn't get to participate in 4-H and FFA judging much. Use every opportunity that you can to participate on those teams in junior college, all the way from 8 up, and do those contests as much as possible, because those are going to help you in the long run.
So you're saying that participating in judging teams does prepare you to judge a show?
No, but I think it helps most people.
Just want to be clear. I agree with all the above, and especially the mini.
No, you didn't, because you could have said it and you didn't say anything.
I'm not. You're asking me, are people coming to me asking me these things? No, they're making their own decisions. They can do those things. They can think for themselves. And I do get people calling, well, if we're going to be showing next year, can we start this year at a jackpot? Absolutely. And again, I don't know I'd be curious to know what percentage of our show families are starting their kids to show at the jackpots before what we call 4-H age. And there's several out there. And I think it's anything you can do, as competitive as it is going to be a positive. And to expose those kids to it, I can sit back and look at the bigger picture and all the different activities that are available, the time restraints, all of those things that come into play, that if somewhere we don't expose them to this environment in a positive manner, we just aren't going to have them. I can just coming back from the Indiana State Fair, I don't know the exact numbers, but they'd said that the pig numbers were significantly down, and you hear this and that, and there's some places.
How can the pig numbers be down in Indiana when they have that
That's what I
greatest
said.
facility in the world there to show off.
And I do not have that number, and I hope that person was accurate. But no, an incredible new facility there. I think, and Ryan, we've talked about this. It goes back to that COVID year a little bit. There were a lot of families that didn't show during COVID or very limited, maybe went on a family vacation, maybe the kids got interested in soccer or something else. But there's so much, and our kids are so busy in so many activities. I'm like Ryan, and we sometimes I get closed-minded. He's probably worse. I am very much, let's find one thing that we're really good at and become the best we can. And if we're trying to do that in 4 different areas, it's more difficult. Are there some super kids out there that can do those things? Yes. But the majority, you're going to have more success narrowing. Where's our expertise? Where's our true passion? Where's our interest in going down that path? And gosh, as a parent, you're so fortunate. And it comes from a lot of different ways. If you have children that are under 4-H age that somehow, whether it's at your place that you're raising animals, the neighbor has some, a friend has some, grandpa has some, whatever it is, if they get some of that exposure in a young age, they become very passionate. They really enjoy being around and working with the animals. That's the ideal scenario. However, there's a lot of these families that the parents showed. They're no longer on the farm. They don't have animals in their backyard while their kids are young. Obviously, friends that they can go to and expose them to. But those kids are not in the same situation their parents were, that they were exposed to these animals basically from birth. With that said, I think there's a lot of great kids out there that have chose to go play baseball or something else, partially just because they weren't exposed at a young age and didn't have the chance to say, well, wow, this may be something great. It's a hard one for me. I'm going to be honest. It is hard. And I'm trying to look at it from a parent perspective. And it's a fine line for me, whether you dictate what your kids do or let them discover and follow their passion. And I don't have the right answer. I don't know how to do that.
I have mixed emotions on this. And this is truly one of the main reasons that and people don't think this, but I actually made the conscious decision not to have children. My mother would have given me a lot of money to have one, but I did not. And I think that's part of it, because I was terrified that what if I have this kid and it doesn't want to show? Will I kill it? And I think probably I would have. But anyway.
There are parents out there that those kids don't have a choice. And sometimes it works out great. Sometimes it's a train wreck.
And so I go back and I think about my brother. And Randy didn't love showing by any means. But he also, he was one of those. And I think there is a certain section that does it, that they just did it because their parents wanted them to. They didn't love it. They didn't absolutely detest it, but it is easier to do it because your parents want you to. And he was firmly in that category. And I compliment Dale a lot, because as competitive as he is and as much as he is engrossed in this, the way that he's handled Chase not wanting to show and letting him do other things and to kind of stay involved in the scene, but didn't push him to show. I think that's hard to do. I think that probably the best way to handle it, and again, I'm not a parent, but give them the chance, give them the opportunity, and maybe you do say, this is something that we're going to do, and see if they actually do like it, do enjoy it. And if they do, then they'll continue. But you can also, if you just step back, look and see the other side, that kid would rather be somewhere else, do something else. Not everybody is great at this. Maybe they would be better suited and have more success at something else. But I would say at least give them the chance and let them figure out for themselves, and you watch and you figure out, because while I'm not saying that sports aren't good and all these other things, there's a lot of different things for kids to be active in where they can have a chance to do very well. This program is unique and easily the most beneficial for kids on how to become a successful, productive adult. You learn more of that in this program than anywhere else, and you'll never make me believe that. So, of course, I want every kid to be involved, but I also get that maybe some of them, even when they've given the chance, might decide to go take a different avenue.
And I think your example right there with you and Randy did it. He had success. I don't think he liked it obviously as much as you did, but it was fine. He participated, but there would have been, and I don't know, I'm assuming he would rather have done something else if the support level was the same for something else as it was for that. But within your family, it wasn't. Perfect fit for you. Okay for him. I'm going to go into a little bit of a life confession here and throw myself under the bus. My oldest son, Dylan, he showed, enjoyed it. I think a part of it, I'm a little bit guilty at that time. We had just spent a large amount of money on a lot of breeding goats, and it was a business as much as it was a family project, unfortunately. And it that shouldn't be first, but in some situations that it is what it is. So there was probably more pressure that when he did go out and show, and we didn't let him show much because we didn't want to compete against our clients. The few times he went out, there was more pressure. Well, you need to do well. You are representing not just yourself, but the business. And that's a terrible place to put a child. You don't, in hindsight, you ask if I started all over again, Ryan, I would never want to do that. I don't have a solution how I would have done it differently, but that was not a good position to be in. My oldest son, Dylan, the one we're talking about, enjoyed baseball a great deal. I did not play baseball when I was younger. I know very little about baseball. I did not have any tools to necessarily help him, minus maybe going out and buying a private coach or spending money to get a coach or something like that. Did we go to his games and allow him to play? Absolutely. All of those things. But I feel this is an example that I just didn't have the tools to help him further. And he did fine. He had a successful high school baseball career. He enjoyed it. Everything was good, but I feel guilty. I wasn't able to, or I chose not to, wasn't able to foster that more or some of the other things that he's interested in because I didn't have the experience or the knowledge necessarily to do it. And then we bounced to my other three kids. And right now I'm going to jump all the way down to Katie, our youngest. Katie loves volleyball, loves basketball, loves showing. She's involved in as much as any of my children have ever been. And it's a battle. She has lifting in the morning. She has a open gym in the afternoon, maybe a formal practice somewhere in there. And that eats a lot of hours a day. And she has as many good goats on feed right now as she's ever had and needs to be down there spending time with them. And it's a balancing act. It's hard. And what do you say? We tell her that she can play one sport at a time.
No sports.
She can't be in more than that, in two total. And I'm telling you, even with one sport, let alone two, and animals in the barn, it is a battle. And would it be easier to say, well, you're not playing sports, you're focusing on this? Yeah. But when I see her enjoyment, and part of it is she's a very competitive kid, and she loves to get out on the floor, whether it's basketball or volleyball, and compete. She just loves competing. She thrives off of it. Does it take away from some of the time in the barn? No question. But those are my hard choices. And when you're getting kids started, I would want to expose them to as much as you can. But remember, if you have experience in one area, you have accessibility to others that are experts in that area, you're obviously going to be able to assist more down that path for success. So it's a mess. I'm a mess. There is no absolute, and I these are the questions that I get. How much time do we need to have our kids in the barn? All of these things. Those situations are so individual. kids have so many different interests. Parents have so much variation in their experience and their knowledge level. It's an impossible question for me anyway. And I feel guilty as a parent sometimes that, well, instead of being at that volleyball game, I'm home doing something else. Or should I allow Katie to go and play on a travel basketball team this summer?
No.
That is where we draw the line. So it's hard. It is really, really hard. And the more we get into it, Ryan, I can see why you want to talk about it. Because I'm living it, I don't know that I'm making always the right decisions for my kids or what way to push priorities, because I just don't think that answer exists. I don't know what it is.
I think that's part of the topic. There is no perfect answer. I agree with you, but I think that there's also things that need to be considered and talked about, and those things, and putting that out there, just putting this thought into people's heads probably is going to help somebody, because
and no question. I want to go back, and I apologize for interrupting you. The best example that you gave that hits me really hard to have people think about, and I'm not opposed to young kids showing cattle. There's some of the best ones out there. But if you're coming into this, you have no livestock background, anything like that, maybe not. But you'd mentioned, well, let's think about getting that young heifer a full year plus before we're ever going to go in the ring with it, and have her bred and have her dead broke, all those things. That is a perfect scenario, in my opinion. And that time with that younger child and that animal, that's not necessarily hard pressure time that we got to go to the show this weekend. You have to have her broke. You have to have, but let that kind of evolve on its own and grow into itself. And there's so much time between that young exhibitor and that animal by the time they truly walk into that first 4-H show, or maybe it's even a jackpot show. This can be a 5, 6, 7-year-old child, and you have that animal that long before they actually walk into the ring. I think that's a perfect example. And you can, obviously in cattle, it works. We have a much larger show window on the breeding side for some of those. But even the goats, they show the full blood goats until they're 10 years old. I don't know what species to push you in, but those things ultimately, why I like it, ultimately are going to allow for a more positive experience, rather than we have a 4-H'er coming of age that's going to show next summer. And let's say we want them to show pigs. We go buy a pig in March or April, and they're going to show in early July. They've got a very short window to be with that animal, to understand all those things. And we're pushing. Hey, we got to walk these pigs. We got to break them to lead. We've got to get them so they're not pen sour or barn sour. We got to get their heads up. We're pushing a lot on them that has to be done by a certain time. And if we're pushing because we're so competitive and we want them to do well, does that necessarily make that first experience for that child positive? I don't know. Some are going to thrive on it. Others are going to push away.
That is one thing that I wanted to bring up, and I'm glad that you brought it up. You have to, and again, another reason why I chose not to be a parent. I think that you have to be able to decipher, and I know, at least with the little kids that I've been around, and there's been a lot, and within siblings, I can tell before they ever step in a ring, this one is more competitive than the other one. It's from stealing the toys and all the 1,000 other things that you can observe about a child. You can observe which one is going to be more competitive, or things like that. And so if you think that your kid maybe not as diehard a competitor as some, I think that's when, and you still want them to do this, you've got to ease them into it. You can't, I see this mistake so many times. A kid that's not competitive, that they throw them into the deep end of the pool with 12 pigs. Okay.
All are averaging 10,000 each. That here's a great set. We have to, we're expected to do well.
Right. And this kid maybe loves the pigs, likes showing, but is not super competitive in nature, but Daddy is. And here we are. So I think those are some things in the before part. If you know maybe your kid's not that competitive nature isn't just built and bred into them, it can be developed, but it has to go slow. And so that's something that I think everybody should think about. But that's a lot on the before.
That is a lot. Like, and I even have an extra question and answer today. We have 4 of those. But
why do we have 4?
Well, because we have a political one that I didn't know if that should really count for a lie in the Beyond the Ring one.
Oh, okay. But so the after, which Dale doesn't believe in the after. I guess
it doesn't exist for me yet.
Yes, it does. It does exist for you. But anyway, so on the after, I get these questions as much as, and I think Dale did. This will be much shorter because Dale pretty much at the beginning of the thing talked about all of it. But you're a kid, you're done, and whether it's 21 or 18, there is a shelf life on this showing, and so I get these questions all the time. So I've aged out. I want to stay involved. What I do now, and when I get these questions from these guys, so well, what part did you like the most? Did you like showing the most? Did you like taking care of the animal the most? What did you like fitting? Did you like clipping? What really, now that you're done, what was the most exciting part of it for you? And I find it interesting that a lot of times they don't have an answer right away. And I don't know how you wouldn't have an answer right away, but they don't. And so when they don't have an answer for that right away, I always tell them, I said, well, think about that and think about what truly, if you could have just picked one thing of this great process to do time and time again, what would it be? And when you figure that out, then you'll know where to go, because it is super easy if you are gifted with a set of blades and a comb to stay involved. Lots of people need people to fit their animals, and I think that's a great way to stay involved. And I get on this high horse and I beat this soapbox a lot on here. I get so sick and tired of people bashing fitters. I do. It drives me crazy. I hate it, because all a fitter is a kid that loved this program and wanted to stay involved. And they're good at it and they want to make money at it. There's nothing wrong with any of those things. And so we let the little bitty percentage of fitters that may have questionable morals or whatever you want to say,
may not present themselves.
Right. May not present themselves as an asset to the industry. Just put a black eye on all of these others. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a fitter or clipper. Nothing. And for shame on all you that think that and have that narrow mindset and all the rules that they put in to prevent those people from staying involved. I'm serious. Shame on you. It's sickening to me, because that is simply a kid that loved this and wanted to stay involved. So I will get off that soapbox.
And your mother would agree with you, and she has funded and supported how many fitters in her lifetime?
We've had a halfway house for a long time. But anyway, I can clip and fit, but when I was that age, but I didn't love it, and I wasn't nearly as gifted at it as a lot of people because I didn't care to be. But there are other things. There's a lot of kids that were great showmen that can be great showmanship coaches. There's also a lot of kids that maybe were just an okay showman, but I think coaching showmen is probably the most interesting part, because I know a lot of people, I'll just be honest, I know a lot of people that can't show, that can coach a kid on how to show. Great. And you think that doesn't work. And but it does sometimes. And so there are those opportunities out there that you can help kids on showmanship. You can, like we talked about, if you want to be a judge, if that's something that you want to do, there's opportunities there. How many of these people, I get on another soapbox about buy the damn picture. Look at all of the photographers in the ring. How do you think they got there? They probably showed. So there's all of these different ways to stay involved in this program, to never have to leave it. You've just got to find your niche. And that's why I go back to the question, what did you love the most? And so when you figure that out, that is the biggest part of figuring out how you want to stay involved after, because from volunteering to be a ring steward, to clip into fit and photography, whole 9 yards, judging, if you want to stay involved, you can. You just have to figure out two things: what you want to do the most, and if you want to make money at it or not, because a lot of the things to stay involved, you're not going to make money at it. But there is a lot of ways to make money at it as well.
I want to point out, Ryan, you brought up the livestock photography, and only because we just returned from Indiana State Fair last night. I had a chance to visit with Lindsay Hanowich briefly. She's covering all the rings, all species at Indiana State Fair. I don't know the number of photographers or people she has there helping, but at the cattle ring alone, there was probably 4 or 5. And I'm guessing similar numbers in the other rings. That's an enormous amount of employees to have there. That I'm going to guess that if somebody wanted to be involved in that manner, there's opportunities everywhere. There just is. And some of them are going to do it because they enjoy it. Some of them are going to do it because they enjoy it and could use the income. All of the above. So there are plenty of ways. And you just answered one of my questions and answered, by the way. Now we're down to 3. Nice job. Nice job.
I'm so sorry, but
you transitioned by brokering, as an example.
Oh, yeah.
And then judging, and I am going to speak for you. Judging now, not that you didn't love the brokering portion of it, but conflict of interest would be the reason that you are not at this moment.
Right. Well, I mean, not so much conflict of interest, because I was I only sold to kids in Texas. And so when I was brokering a lot of steers and some heifers, if they asked me to, I judged out of state mostly, but if they asked me to judge in state, I would make sure that those kids didn't show to me or say, hey, I'm judging this show, y'all don't come, et cetera, et cetera. And so I was pretty conscientious about that. But I was like 6 years ago, the last family that I helped aged out, and I just made this decision that there wasn't a family that I had been connected with, all this other stuff. And I was like, I'm just going to quit this for now, may come back to it, but going to quit it and focus on judging, because my deal when I was brokering, it wasn't just like, okay, here's your steer, we'll see you at major shows. No, I went to all the jackpot shows. I went to all the things with them. It was a full service deal, and so that took out a lot of availability for me to judge. And so I just decided that I would do this for a little bit and see, how that goes. But I was pretty conscientious on the not. Nobody showed to me that was selling that I had sold their animal to. But
I am good with a lot of things that came up, and I think this is a good one. I think we've touched on a couple of these things in past episodes, maybe way back there. But the more I reflect on what I've done with my kids, and when I watch others, and I keep going back to just coming off of Indiana State Fair and some families that we're working with there, I can think of one specific family that has two very young children, and the manner that they're going about getting their children involved. The oldest one is homeschooled, and the younger one isn't of. I'm assuming both will be homeschooled, at least for a little while. Their passion, those kids' passion to get in the barn and be around animals. If I could take that, whatever those parents did to provide that opportunity, and just stamp it across the board and allow parents to continue to use something like that as a template, I would. I just wish it was that simple, because every child is so different, and there's so many things that are coming from so many directions for them. But when I think about this specific family, these are two very young kids, a little boy and girl. And when they wake up in the morning, they're thinking about what am I going to do when I go to the barn? Right, Ryan, you understand what I'm talking about. You were that kid at one point.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
you just see some of these. And then if I look at the family 2 aisles down, here's two parents that I remember had a very successful show career. Here's their children maybe sitting in a chair on their phone playing a game that really they're there and they're going to go out in the ring and they're going to show, but they're not eaten up by it. So we have to realize every child's different, and the approach we take introducing them to this industry is critical. The problem is I don't have the right answer. I don't have the direction to tell you how to do that, but I can try to open your mind to make sure that you put some thought into it, because that situation that I told you with my oldest son, Dylan, where it was pretty high pressure, that this is not just your project, but it impacts our business. That is terrible. And those situations exist, even if it's not a business, but successful parents that want to go in and they want to win everything that first year, and they're bombarding their child to do A, B, C, and D rather than letting them Ryan, and we've talked about this, and maybe even stated it. Those successful, highly successful kids and families, the kids have to want to win as much or more than the parents, or it doesn't work.
But you do see the situation where the parent may be more invested than the kid. And while there's still some success there, I am telling you, as a judge, you are a human being still. Even though there's supposed to be all this, you're supposed to be completely unbiased and all this, and we all try to be, or at least I do. You can still read the differences in children. And I'm just being as honest as I can. If there's one that is out there that absolutely you can just tell they eat, live, breathe, sleep this, and another one that, I'm here. Where do you think it's going to go if it's close? I mean, seriously.
Nope, this is good. I hope this opens minds. And speaking for myself, I'm by no means trying to tell you this is the best path, because there is no one good path. But be conscious of how you approach it. Be conscious of, if you want to be that competitive, think ahead a year or two, as Ryan had stated, that easing into it and not jumping in, rush. We have to get to this point, even though that child's never been around an animal before. That won't work. I can tell you what won't work. I don't know what the best path is to make it work, but that family I used an example of from Indiana, whatever that is, maybe they need to write a little book on it, because, and you see them, this isn't the only family I've seen do this, and Ryan has seen many of them as well. It just works. And it's such a good feeling, because those kids are so passionate. They're going to be in this for the long haul, and they're going to receive those lifelong benefits. They're going to become better human beings because of it. That's all I have, Ryan. I do have question and answer down to 3 now, but the first one is really good.
Well,
maybe my favorite ever.
Stop.
Go.
Jesus. I have a sponsor.
I'm so excited about this first question.
Right. Well, Basic Animal Health is the question and answer sponsor for this portion, this week's portion of the podcast. Basic Animal Health has created a revolutionary solution designed to keep your animals happy and healthy while traveling. Trailer Ride is an all-natural, complete health supplement. Originally designed to help animals combat the stresses of travel, this product has shown to have unlimited uses. Trailer Ride starts by minimizing gastric distress and calming the animal for a safe, comfortable ride, but that's not all Trailer Ride. Also, boosts the immune system, supports respiratory health, contains essential electrolytes, and even encourages drinking. We know how important hydration is. I'm sorry. I'm first time
You're kind of getting into my hydration area here.
Yes, I know.
It's very thin ice.
I'm sorry. Jeez, I'm sorry. Trailer Ride. Now you've got me off. We all know how important hydration is, and we know that they need to start drinking right at the show. Trailer Ride is the one that is if you have one that has a stressful hauler, Trailer Ride is for you. Want to boost immunity before you get to the show? Also, Trailer Ride will help. Basic Animal Health is ensuring your animals stay strong and vibrant throughout the show and getting them there the easiest. Shop at basicanimalhealth.com. Use coupon code BTRJLA at the checkout. Okay, that will be better next week. But thank you to Basic Animal Health for sponsoring this question and answer.
Yes, thank you. Even though Ryan was a little off on that one, go watch Waterboy. That will explain the importance of hydration.
No, I should have read through it before, but
okay. With all of that, Josh has a question, and maybe we've talked about this. I don't know, but
what was the question that I answered in question and answer?
All right, hold on. Well, you already answered, but if you want to do it again,
no, but you didn't say what question it was.
Young adult, no children, done showing, live in a new state. How can I? What can I go do? There's your person that's reached out. Yeah, I don't. We can answer. We already answered it, but we can do it again. No, Josh, this here, because I think the spectators, maybe even some people that are showing livestock, have perceptions of what's going through a judge's mind, and I'm afraid sometimes they're worldly different. Does that make sense, Ryan?
Yes.
Occasionally, I may be thinking about something else. Who knows?
What is the question?
What percentage? This comes from Josh. Thank you, Josh. What percentage of the time do you know the champion before the final drive?
Me personally,
I can answer for you.
99%.
Yeah, I was going to use 95. Once in a while,
I'll go with 95, but I think it's more like 99.
Yeah,
for me.
But yes, qualify that probably is not true for all.
No, I don't think it is true for all. And I think I'll be honest with you, I think every single judge is different on that, because there are some people that, and I've had this argument with them, that, and I respect these people, but we still have this argument. And good friends of mine, they're like, you can't know till you get them all out there together. I'm like, yeah, I can. No, you can't. You got to see them all together. And so, like, I do think that this is a very good question, but I think it is highly, highly, highly different for every single one of us. And like I said, me, 99% of the time, I know what I'm doing.
I think my champion is at 95 or better. I would say that if there's a decision in the champion drive that may not have been made before they came out there, it's going to be reserve or third or fourth or whatever that is, more times than obviously the champion. The champion, just to me, it just usually hits you, period. If it's a lower end county fair, then maybe my percentage drops a little bit. But at a high end jackpot or a higher show, when you have that quality of animals coming in, there's going to be one that just hits you, in my opinion, hard enough that this is pretty much over. And I have been fooled where they're at a really good show. One will come in and think, wow, that's going to make a nice champion. Then 3 classes later, a better one comes in. And that's a great thing. Just hope that just keeps happening every class. I'm digging here. This one's anonymous. The political one. Being from Illinois, Generally speaking, a downstate vote for president is irrelevant because of the Chicagoland population density carrying the electoral vote. I get that. Our population is in Chicago, and then there's not so much. Considering the Democrats are hit and miss on camel toe and the independent candidate has a strong ties to the Democrat Party, is there potential that Democrats split their vote up enough for Trump to earn states' electoral votes? Clearly, Democrats are hit or miss on Kamala. Would it make sense that old school Democrats might side with your buddy Kennedy and Trump has a chance in Illinois? Wow, to me, unfortunately, that's a fairly easy answer, but I like the idea. Ryan, do you think Trump can win Illinois?
No.
That is the obvious answer. You may not be aware. We have in recent history, gosh, maybe not recent, 20 years maybe, have had Republican governors. Not here as of the last couple of elections by any means, but it has happened. So I mean, anything's possible, but gosh, yeah, I don't think because of our populace in Chicago, Mr. Anonymous, I just don't think it can happen. That doesn't mean that if every single conservative / somebody that's leaning conservative would go out and vote, every one of them, it would happen, period. If 90% of the people that had conservative values went out and voted, Illinois would flip. But that I don't know how to make that happen.
I think it's because Chicago cheats.
I'm not going to argue that by any means. Not at all. Okay, the next one, Bradley. And this is, would it be possible to do an episode on market animal trading?
On what?
Market animal trading. Brokering, I believe, but market animals.
Well, yeah, I guess. Sure.
I think it's good. We haven't, I mean, we've talked about brokers. We've talked about different things about it. I don't know that we just had a topic. Just here's a little more about trading animals. Exactly. I like it, Bradley. I think we'll save that for a full episode, but absolutely. With that, real quick, just for my interest, do you believe there's more animals being brokered now or 10 years ago?
Now.
I agree completely. I think when online sales first came to be, maybe more people buying direct for a little while because they didn't have to travel, but I still think it's more. Ryan, thank you. We will. I have no idea what next week brings. You and I will be at the Illinois State Fair together briefly, and then you're off to I don't know where.
Missouri State Fair.
Very busy week. Clifton seems to be gone more than home, so hopefully we can find a time that works for all to record. It was a very, very early morning, but it was good. Thank you. Be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear?